loud, 69.
Like
I too hope to come loud,
preferably
in a 69. Huh? And they become friends. Hey, would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel? They're a little melty, but damn are they exquisite. And he hands him one, slimes it on his hand, and then he fucking proceeds to eat it, and then licking his hands. Oh. And T.S. is about to retch.
Yeah.
And Brody, in the best scene possible, is just looking at him like this huge smile on his face, like, yeah, I got him. And it's just so fucking prolonged, and it is so well done that, yeah, it's poop humor, but it might be the most intelligent poop humor you've ever seen. It's so good and so well done.
This is when he takes them out. He does the whole... Yeah. Snaps his fingers.
Well, he says because then he basically... So, Team LaForge shows up, which they're billed as, and arrests them. And he says the line to Brody, like, you know, once I knew you and your sidekick were here, I knew I had to do something. He's like, hey, why am I his sidekick? How do you know he's not my sidekick? And here's where we get the fucking thing where apparently nobody can hear out of earshot. So, Team LaForge is dragging Brody and T.S. out, and he fucking yells to Renee, Renee, get Jay and Silent Bob, hurry! As Affleck is walking in. And he goes, somebody call your name? No.
But I gotta go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And he smacks him in the butt because, you know,
okay, babe,
butt man.
It's your day.
Butt man. That's where the butt man comes in. Like, he should have explained to him on the commentary, like, dude, your character...
Well, I think it's pretty implied, considering he screws them in an uncomfortable place, which is not the back of a Volkswagen. It's, as Brody puts it, the most notorious of body cavities. And just has a penchant for ass, which in the deleted version might be even a little better, but we'll get to that later.
So Jay and Bob help spring him by fucking hitting LaForge over the head with a bat, which only stuns him for like a minute.
Come, son of Jor-El, kneel before Zod. Snoochie boochies.
Vulcan nerve pinch. And then they take off.
But apparently Silent Bob can run faster than the speed of light.
Well,
yeah. He's like, he you know, flashes
cartoon,
it through. Yeah,
right?
he flashes it through and just fucking runs faster. I don't know why the power turned off when he got to Jay, but apparently that's
they get into each other. He fucking reaches into his deal. He gets a fucking...
Pulls out a little finger vibrator, and like, he just sort of goes, I got nothing. Throws it away. Jay turns out and has another cartoony thing where he just goes, and turns like, and then Bob pulls out a
fully inflated sex doll.
Yeah.
Then he pulls out the fucking bat grappler.
The bat grappler and
the fakest looking bat belt ever.
Yeah, which
bat utility belt.
Them.
Shoots up, clips it on.
They fling up, and then Team LaForge doesn't look up because why would you? And look around, and they run away, and then he says, where did you get this wonderful toy?
Gives him a kiss.
Yeah, the weird thing about that is, this is when Kevin Smith almost died.
Yeah.
That belt slipped.
Yeah, well...
That was holding them up, and because they turned off the machine that brought them up there for some reason that I'm not aware of, and they lost the key. So they were up there, and they almost died.
Well, there you go. Go to the dirt mall.
Yes.
Is Walter there? Because he goes there.
I don't know.
He goes, Brody, Walter.
Like, hey, Walt, Brody. They know me here.
Yeah.
It might be Cousin Walter. I always assumed it was. That was Scott Mosier's sister, though. Reading the comics.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, $6 million you get just friends and family.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, Kevin was also dating her.
Oh, was he? Oh. No. What could have been? They see Miss Ivana, the topless psychic.
Who is played by Priscilla Barnes from Three's Company. The classier of the three roommates, which is hilarious, all things considered.
Gets him out.
Yep.
Because she's like, well, to get my powers working.
Yeah, I have to be completely unfettered. And she's got a third nipple.
I do like that they said, drop the accent. She's like,
I do things so much better when I don't have to say anything character. She apparently becomes a Jewish mother, which makes me laugh every time.
She's got a very obvious third nipple. And I love how it switches. Yeah. Brody was excited and T.S. didn't want anything. And then the minute the boobs come out and she starts actually, being a real psychic. Yeah. Doing some real good work.
T.S. gets very interested and Brody's like, oh,
God.
Disgusting. Yeah. That's amazing. That's disgusting. But everything she's saying makes sense to TS, and TS is like, oh my god, you're absolutely right. This is exactly what should happen.
Tips are even more.
Tips are more money. And then they leave. Or no, at first he's just like, oh my god, with your accuracy, like, how are you not working in a big place? Well, I have to, people frown on topless fortune telling, and that's the only way I'm effective. Oh, really? Yeah, well, it's the third nipple that does it. You have a third nipple? I didn't notice. It's as clear as daylight! And then...
Well, do you have any extra body parts? No.
You can check me if you like. Really? Really? And then he gets dragged out. It's like, well, that's what happens.
Then she pops it off, eats it. It's a pepperoni.
Well, actually, it was candy.
Was it candy?
In the deleted scene. For some reason, they trimmed off the very end where she says, cherry.
Oh, okay. He's like, works every time. Mm-hmm. I'm like, so I don't understand the whole...
I'm not sure what the point is, other than I think she's just trying to trick them to make sure that they listen to what she says, because clearly, TS fucking paid her more money, so, you don't tend to pay your stripper more money after she's done.
So, I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I'm sure some people do.
I wouldn't know.
So TS find Jay and Bob, who got away. They're hiding in a bookstore because they're not going to find them. Nobody's looking for them in a bookstore.
Exactly.
Tells them the plan. Cool.
You guys up for getting stoned? Look who you're asking.
Brody then runs into Stanley. Well, he's like looking at the lingerie.
He's looking at bras, yeah.
Looking at bras, and then Stanley rocks up. What a lovely couple.
Holy shit!
Well, no, not right away, right?
No, yeah. At first, he's just like...
yeah, the bras look...
They look happy.
Not the bras.
They look happy.
The couple.
The bras? No, the couple. It reminds me of a Spider-Man I did.
And then he's like...
Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy went lingerie shopping. Of course, the Hobgoblin came in and he pumpkin bombed the hell out of this place. Oh my god! Holy shit!
You're Stanley!
Hi. You're Stanley. Hi.
Right, so... Then he tells them a story about a girl who he met.
Yeah.
And then he left.
Which, he didn't want to say that.
I'm sure he didn't. Because he's just like, and then I became a pussy hound.
Well, when Kevin, because Kevin didn't ask him because, Kevin was too nervous to ask him. The producers went out and asked if Stan would do it.
Mr. Lee?
And apparently Stan's response initially when he read the script was not that he didn't like it. He was just like, I would never say this shit. And Kevin's like, oh my god, that's amazing. And he called him up and... just asked him and everything like that, but he asked Kevin, he's like, do I really have to say it this way? Because he's like, in the end, I have a wife I have to go home to.
Yeah.
She hears this, I'm dead. So, but he's just like, you're playing a character, you're not you, you're this version of Stanley.
You're Stan the Manly.
Yeah. So, that worked out well.
Now, my whole thing is...
Sure.
Now, Brody Bruce is a very big comic book fan.
Mm-hmm.
To an excessive amount of levels.
Just dork. The orange made out of orange rock. Like
now, I love that he's like obsessed with superhero sex organs.
Like Reed Richards, does every part of his body stretch, like even his...
Now, I understand the internet's not much of a thing in 95.
Sure.
But wouldn't he know that Stan Lee, the whole Jones story, wouldn't he know that...
Well... Again,
unless this is a different version.
Fictional version. Remember, I don't know if he's telling the truth, but I'm guessing he's fucking with him.
Yeah.
When he says the whole thing about me and Mick Jagger had a fucking... And I was way ahead.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just thinking, wouldn't you know the story
Again,
of Stan?
it's the fictional version.
I'm just
I do believe that he's apparently, because his main thing for complaining about him wanting to go home was the one that got away. Not the pussy hound.
Yeah.
It was because of the one that got away, because he's happily married, and the one that got away didn't get away.
Yeah.
So, his whole thing was he didn't want to say that. So I think the idea behind this is completely fictional. He's a pussy hound, but he's... Well, I don't know, because when he talks to T.S. later, because...
Yeah, did he buy it?
Spoiler alert, T.S. set the whole thing up.
Yeah.
How he got access to Stanley, I don't know, but we don't question these things. It's a movie.
Did he buy it? And then it sounds like
I used the Vulture soliloquy, and I'm like, well, so what if this all true? Because first of all, Brody buys it hook, line, and sinker because he's just like, fuck that bitch and everything like that. And he's like, no, she's the one that got away, and I always think about it, and and then the wheels start turning in Brody's head about what he wants to do
with Renee.
So
this is what I'm saying.
I don't know. It's not really 100% clear. My guess is he made the whole thing up.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily married because he's not wearing a wedding ring, and from what I saw of Stan, he always wore a wedding ring. So I'm guessing he's not married in this world, but that girl did get away.
Okay, well,
but
we'll see.
He's probably not a pussy hound.
Yeah.
Or maybe he is a pussy hound and there was no girl that got away.
Either way, Brody bought it.
Yes.
Jay takes 2 of the contestants, gets them all stoned up.
Snoochy Boochie Noochies.
Fucking knocks out Roddy too, and like, these guys got stoned and knocked that guy out.
Well, that was later on, like basically
because Gil shows up, and you're like, oh, the third guy, right?
Well,
because there's 3 guys on this show.
Well, because that was I guess the original intent was to have T.S., Brody, and Jay be the contestants. Yeah. Because basically, so what happens is they get fucked up. The Roddy comes in, and goes, "What the fuck?" And then Brody knocks him out, and that's when they say the whole thing about like they got stoned, knocked him out, and then Gil's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Hey, go out there and woo your head off or no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
So Gil, who is clearly a relative of Dante, they are both Hicks, so yes.
Well, there's a third Hick. We'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
Later film.
And also, Brody has a cousin Walter, as does Randall, so they are cousins as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of fucking relationships to this.
There's a View Askew universe.
Uh-huh.
So we get to the game show.
Yes.
Svening's sick because of the whole fucking
he came
licking
down
his
with
stick
a sudden
palm.
case of diphtheria.
Like, oh god. Because I love how the bag is so small, but he's like just...
Well, to his credit, eventually you just run out of shit coming out of you.
Yeah.
So he probably spent most of the time in the bathroom emptying the complete contents of his stomach.
Because like guys from the network, are you okay? Are you going to be I'm fine.
At this point in time, it's just stomach lining. I know too much about vomiting.
So we get to the game show, Truth or Date.
Yes. And this is where basically Jason Lee becomes the greatest character in all of cinema. Is these moments, mostly against Gil Hicks.
Yeah, because they spend the time, suitor at second suitor number 2. Well, I prefer second suitor.
You call me second suitor. Suitor number 2 sounds like a bathroom code.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing that's the best about Gil is basically she asks him like, "What would be your ideal date?" And then he describes everything that Shannon did. Yeah, everything that Shannon did with Renee. So he's just like, first, I take you to all the stores you want to shop in, followed by some lunch, probably at the Cheese House, which is all things that Renee has said.
Then the opera, maybe Deflator Mouse.
Followed by some golfing. Then maybe the opera, probably Deflator Mouse, which he had bought tickets for the opera that night. And then we can go to the secluded beach where I'll pop on the radio and we could slow dance till the sun came up. And Brody is getting increasingly angry. And then just goes, "That is the biggest load of crap I've ever heard!" And it's just clearly like pissing him off to no end.
When we make whoopee, what's whoopee?
What's whoopee? Well,
making love.
We were being intimate. What, like fucking?
The crowd's like, "Ugh."
Meanwhile, the two, what's it called? Network execs love Brody.
Oh yeah, they fucking
love him.
What's the funny guy doing with his hands? Because he's
trying to wave at Trisha to get, because he needed the tape of her and Shannon fucking.
To get him to Bob, because Bob's like hanging at this point with a VHS ready for the tape.
Which I'm not quite sure what he's doing at this point, because once you've strapped that fucking thing in, and
he's just waiting at this point, like
you've connected it. What else do you have to do? It's not as complicated as you're making it, but apparently he thinks it is.
Again, he's a cartoon character, right?
Right.
I mean, this all ends with the Walter story.
Yes.
About the plane and his cousin Walter. The plane was going down, so he whips it out.
Yeah, my cousin Walter jerked off in public once.
And then everyone on the plane is doing
thing. I mean, I can do it if you want.
No, strap for time.
So basically,
Did he come?
Well, that's basically, so everyone's jerking off while the plane's going down, and then, the plane rights itself, so he's just like, well, did he come or what? Jesus Christ, man, there's just some things you don't talk about in public.
And then this is where she's clued in, like, how'd your comic book collection, Brody? Oh, it's pretty good. What are you talking about, lady?
I don't collect comics. Comics are for kids.
Then she finds out it's TS.
She also name-checked TS.
Yeah, she name-checked TS. And then they get into an argument, which turns into them getting married real quick.
Well, no, it's because Brody smartened them up.
Well, just like you're... Because
Brody's like, you're both, I don't even want to say it.
No, you're both crazy for each other.
1995. You're both for each other.
Yeah, you're both crazy.
And why don't you just do what you're supposed to do? And it's like, well, ask her, you stupid bastard. And then he asks
Suitor number 1 loves you and wants to know, will you marry me?
And she leaves him hanging for just enough time.
And then the whole crowd's like,
yes!
Yeah!
And then they kiss for an uncomfortably long time, which was actually even longer because Kevin played a joke on them and just never called